Hey everybody, and welcome back to the channel. My name's Ryan, and today we're diving into the brand new Origin series from Bardstown. Now, Bardstown I have covered before on the channel briefly. I've talked about them a little bit because the Bardstown Discovery Series 8 from 2022 made it onto my top 3 whiskeys of 2022. Let me grab it. There she be. So, nice maroon label on that one. The Bardstown Discovery Series has been pretty widely celebrated recently, especially last year in 2022 with the Discovery Series 8. A lot of people had this one on their top 5 lists at the end of the year, top 10, whatever. And it was on mine too. So Bardstown, the thing about them is that they've been sourcing whiskeys, and they're very transparent. You know, I've talked about this previously, but on their labels, they show every whiskey that's in here, where they came from, what their proof is, what the mash bill is, how old they are, all of that information. They're very, very transparent, and they believe in transparency, and I love that about their labeling. It is so clear. But this year, they have just now released their first ever bottles of their own distillate. So this is distilled right there at Bardstown, and it's old enough, mature enough for them to bottle it and stock it on the shelves purely as their own product for the first time. And it is, well, I'm not going to spoil anything for you. But the question is it worth the money? Right? Because they carry a lot of weight with their name because of the products they've been sourcing and putting on shelves in the recent years. People have been eating it up. And the thing is, the Bardstown Discovery Series, you're looking at about $140 for this bottle. The difference is that they have to sort of live up to their own hype, live up to their own name with their own distillate now, with their own product. But the difference is that these Origin Series bottles, I got each of these for $45. Not 140, 45. Okay? That is a very competitive price. You think of things that I've got on my shelf that I've talked about before that a lot of people have as sort of their staples. You know, you got Rare Breed, Old Forester 1920 or 1910. You've got Four Roses Small Batch Select. There's a lot of whiskeys in that $50 to $60 price range, depending on where you are, what state you're in, and where you're buying it from. But it's a very competitive price point. So for Bardstown to come in just underneath that at $45, maybe $50. It depends on where you're buying it from. But that is a very competitive price point. The question is, can it compete there? Is there a reason for you to buy this product? I have already made up my mind on these because I've tried them. This one I got first, and so we'll start with that one. But right now, there are 2 of their Origin Series out on shelves. There's a third one that hasn't released yet, and it's the Rye. Okay, so if you see a green label on the shelf in the near future, you think, okay, that's Bardstown's Rye. But the white and the black labels here, what we're going to be talking about today. So the black label is a bottled in bond, but it is wheated. And then the white label, this is not bottled in bond. It is a Kentucky straight bourbon. It's 96 proof, not 100 proof like a bottled in bond. So it's 96, comes in just underneath that. But the difference is the mash bills on these, and we'll talk about them as we get to them. But first up is the black label. This is the bottled in bond. Now again, I talked about their transparency. They continue that trend with their labeling of these on the Origin Series. So on the label it says it was distilled in the fall of 2016. It has a 6-year age statement on it. The mash bill is interesting. It is 68% corn, 20% wheat, 12% malted barley. That's a really interesting. Those are interesting ratios. You know, a lot of wheated bourbons, well, bourbons in general, a lot of them will, if they're high corn or wheat in the mash bill, a lot of times you're looking around like the 5% malted barley range, right? But for them to come in at 12%, that's a lot of malted barley for a bourbon, relatively speaking. It's not unheard of, but it is a really interesting and unique mash bill they've got going on there. So 6 years, 68% corn, 20% wheat, 12% malted barley. I'm actually going to go ahead and pour the other one too, so it has a chance to open up a little bit. But they've stayed true to their bottling. They stayed true to their principles, their labeling, their transparency. So nothing about this is going to shock you if you're used to Bardstown. The color is nice and caramely. It's not too amber. It's much more caramely. And again, this is the bottled in bond. Now, on the nose, oh man, you get hit with that butterscotch right up front. And a little bit of that mature oak, not the dry tannic oak, but a little bit more matured oak. It's not a 4-year or a 2-year. It's had a little bit more age on it. So a whole lot of vanilla and butterscotch on the nose. But a little bit of a crisp freshness that might be coming from the wheat in the mash. But certainly doesn't blow you out of the water. It is somewhat viscous, though. It leaves a little bit of an oily residue on the glass. I wish you could, that would be a really hard thing to show, I think, on a camera. Maybe I should try. Do you see that layer? It almost looks oily towards the top of the glass there. But that's fantastic on the nose. But we're going to dive into it. Oh, man. Brown sugar, a little bit of maple, and a roasty caramel. But, oh, man, the finish on that is all oak. Not like a dry, stringent oak either. Just a real nice, subtle, dry oak finish. But vanilla, brown sugar, and a roasty caramel vibe on the palate. That's like a really good quintessential bourbon. That goes down so easy. Now, I'm going to say something here that might make some people mad, and I think some people will actually vehemently disagree with me. But I went to a bourbon bar last night, and, we went through a few different options there. They had Master's Keep. They had Blanton's. They had a couple of different Bookers. They had their own barrel picks of Old Forester and Maker's Mark. So they had plenty of options. Now, we did go ahead and have a pour of Blanton's while we were there. And it reaffirmed what I already think about Blanton's. And that's that it's just okay. It's just okay. But a lot of people show up at liquor stores on delivery days. They wait in lines for hours. They hunt. They go online and they pay, upwards of $150 sometimes for a bottle of Blanton's, just a standard bottle of Blanton's. Man, that stuff's supposed to retail for like $70. And I gotta tell you, I spent $45 for this bottle, and honestly, I enjoy this pour more than I enjoyed my Blanton's last night. And that's not because Blanton's is bad. It's because it's just kind of okay. It's just okay. This, to me, it stands out a little bit more. Against the backdrop of all these other whiskeys that I drink and try, this one just has a little more character to it, and it's more delightful to my palate. And it's readily available, and a lot less expensive. Let's move on to the Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey from the Origin Series, Bardstown. Again, this is 96 proof. Let me tell you, I already poured it. I don't need to pour anymore. But let me go ahead and tell you the mash bill on this one. So this one is 60% corn, 36% rye, and 4% malted barley. So 4% barley on this one, which is, a third of how much barley was in the mash on the bottled in bond. And you're looking at a high rye mash bill at 36%. So this is going to be a completely different ballgame. Oh, and by the way, it is 6 years old. It has a 6-year age statement on it. So let's go in. Oh, right up front. The nose is much different. More like what you would expect off of a rye. But 6 years old, it's mellowed out a little bit. It's not just all spice and, peppermint vibes or anything like that. But it does have a crisp freshness to it on the nose. But I'm also getting like a sweet yellow fruit, like your apricots, or even like a melon, like a cantaloupe, maybe cantaloupe. That is a delightful nose, absolutely. A little bit of caramel sweetness as well. But mostly like that mellowed out rye vibe that you get on a rye that's had a little bit more time in the barrel to sort of mellow out a little bit and let those yellow fruits come to the forward. Let's go in. Oh, that is tasty. Where the bottled in bond has a sweet dryness on the finish, that oak is very present on the finish. This one just has a really delightful spice at the end. It's sweet up front. Those yellow fruits come forward a little bit halfway through the palate, and then it finishes with that subtle spice. Yep, it's just a journey. It's a progressive taste. Caramel sweetness and vanilla up front. Those yellow fruits like those apricots or even that cantaloupe vibe. And then it finishes with that subtle spice. And a little dry on the finish. But man, that is delicious. For $45, that is absolutely a steal. I cannot Imagine not having a bottle of this on my shelf, going to a liquor store and seeing it for 45 bucks and saying no thank you. I gotta tell you, both of these I think are gonna be genuine contenders. Genuine contenders. At that price point, $45 to $50, you're gonna see these on the shelf. You're gonna see them next to, your Four Roses Small Batch Select. You're gonna see it next to your Old Forester 1920 or even your 1910. It's gonna be up there next to Woodford Double Oaked in the price point. And you're gonna say, hey, for 45 bucks, for $15 less, sometimes I can have these bottles. Hey, I think you'd be crazy not to. I think that the Origin Series is going to be something that's going to be around on shelves for a while. I think people are going to drink it. They're going to like it. And for some people, these are going to start replacing some of their daily sippers. Absolutely. For me, when it comes to like a daily sipper, I look at things like Rare Breed. I love 1920. I love 1910. I really like a lot of New Riff stuff too. But these are going to start being regulars on my shelf because they're just so drinkable and enjoyable. And when people come over and I want to pour them something that I know is going to be a safe bet that they're going to drink it and be like, oh, that's pretty good. Bam, right here. Genuine contenders. Calling it now. I think people are going to be talking about these this year. So shout out to Bardstown. You guys crushed it. You crushed it. Congratulations on releasing your own distillate and having it live up to the expectations that you set with these bottles, right? These are not, by the way, they're not Discovery Series 8, okay? This is top shelf stuff. This is phenomenal stuff. But it's also 140 bucks. But I think I'd pay 60 bucks for these. I think I would. Please don't raise the price, Bardstown. I will say that. But at 45 bucks, these are a steal every day of the week. I highly recommend that you pick these up. And please do me a favor. If you are one of my Patreon supporters, I know you guys, you guys are rock stars, by the way. Absolute rock stars. I know January was slow for uploads because I was sick. I had that cold that lasted 2 weeks. And then I got COVID from my kids after that because they brought it home from school. And so my uploads were kind of slow last month. I apologize for that. I had to get over all that stuff. And then even after I was over COVID, I couldn't smell or taste anything. So whiskey was like lost on me. And it was sad. It was just sad to pour a little bit of whiskey and be like, I can't smell it. Take a sip and be like, I can't taste it. It was wasting the stuff. So I just stopped drinking it. So I had a little bit of a dry January because of it. But that's okay. But if you are in my Patreon group, if you're one of the Patreon supporters, hey, do me a favor. If you pick one of these up this week, next week, whatever, talk to me about it in Patreon. I'll make a post right after this video goes live where I just kind of highlight these two. And if you have tried them, respond to it for me, would you? And let me know what you think about them. If you haven't gotten these yet, you haven't tried them yet, do me a favor, this week, next week, go out to the liquor store, see if you can pick up a bottle. And if you do, come back to that post, respond to it. I see all those messages come straight through to my phone like a text message. I love reading those things. So please do that and let me know what you think. And if you were as impressed by these as I was. So cheers. May you get better with age. And I look forward to seeing you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.